just a quick overview. I'm letting you all know who are listening, who may be watching. I hope you're watching. It is on all major streaming platforms, but I want you to watch these Conversate and ELLAvate episodes because I want you to see who these guests are, amazing guests that I have coming through. I want you to actually see them. But this one that we have today for this segment on Conversate and ELLAvate is a wonderful man who is an author. He coins himself as a motivational speaker. I want to come in and say an empowerment and enlightenment speaker. We know a motivational speaker, they get you motivated, they get you hyped. You go in, you get hyped, you hear your stuff. You may walk out the building or turn off whatever it is and kind of lose the motivation. Motivation's tricky, but that empowerment and enlightenment, you can't shake. Once you got that information, you got it. So I'm going to say we are with the author, empowerment and inspirational speaker, fitness trainer, yes, holistic health teacher, absolutely. And I'm going to say guru. Let me tell you why I say guru, because people misunderstand that word, and words are power and powerful, but you must understand them. A guru is someone who sheds light onto darkness. And as we go through this whole story and situation, you're going to see that this man, Prince, sheds light onto darkness and have overcome his darkness and have light all over him. As you see, he's glowing even on here. And we all know it is a continual process for all of us. None of us have reached just that it. That means it's over for us. So it's a continual process, but he also has steps on how you go through and navigate the continual process. But we're going to get right into it and you can see for yourself. All right. So Prince, listen, we're going to eventually talk about your book. I don't want to go there yet because I mean, your book is absolutely amazing. It has subject matters in that book that help people find themselves. And the one thing that I love about teachers, educators, and coaches, because you're all of those and they're all different. So I don't put you in any box when you tap on any of those. One thing I love about those who have that gift and that platform are the ones who actually learn by experience, not sitting and studying. I'm not knocking that, right? I'm just saying there is a different spark. There is a different touch when you actually live through something where life is your teacher, life is your school, life is your university. There's just a different touch. And I'm speaking from experience with that. That's what sets us apart. I'm just saying, listen, I'm not saying about you, but we are great. So I want to get into your book a little later, but let's back up some because I deal with individuals in the sports industry, entertainment industry, and just business in general. And there's a lot of common things that I see depending on the different type of groups that I deal with. I have diverse clients, but predominantly my clients are those who come from either underserved backgrounds or backgrounds where they're just not educated on certain things, right? They have amazing gifts, but they have to learn so much. They have amazing talent. So let's go back with you and just talk about college days. You know, you being a walk-on on Georgia Tech, like what did that even look like? Before I even go there, your parents, you came from a two-parent household. Is that correct?
I came from a, it was yes and no.
Okay.
My parents, they divorced when I was 2.
Okay.
But I've always had a lot of strong male role models in my life.
Okay.
When my 4 uncles and my stepfathers that, you know, I had a couple of stepfathers, my mom remarried. But everyone was very instrumental. Everyone was very hands-on, and there was no funny business, and everyone helped towards my growth. So, so I've always seen the male side of things and the female side of things just growing up, and so I would say I had the best of both worlds because I lived with my mother during my formative years, all the way up into my teen years, which was really good because she gave me that foundation of love and nurture, which every single kid needs. But then when it was time for me to grow up and become a young man, that's when I went to go and live with my father, who was from another country, who was from Ghana, Africa. And so the teaching was completely different. The mindset was different, but he prepared me for the world. So that's why I have the best of both worlds.
I love it. So let's go back. So I'm happy I asked that question because like you said in the beginning, though, you grew up with your mom, but you had these amazing role models around you that were male figures. And that's the one thing in certain communities that we have to look at, right? We feel like we don't have to victimize ourselves or be put into a position to feel like a victim. What we need to look at, especially those of us who are navigating such dominant industries, we need to look at surrounding ourselves around people. It don't have to look like the way people say it has to look, right? It's just you just need to achieve whatever you can achieve from those things. Because to be honest with you, some people who come from a household maybe with two parents in there doesn't mean it's the same. You're going to get whatever you think you're going to get from that.
Right.
It's just a matter of getting those people around you who could deposit whatever it is that needs to be deposited around you. So I'm happy that you brought that up, that you was in this household, but you had amazing male role models around you that you took advantage of. And then later on, when you got to a different transition, you went with your father. So being in your environment, a blessed one where you're able to learn from so many people, what did that mean for you transitioning, going into college? What did you know, did not know?
Man, going into college, it was I was sheltered, growing up. So going into college was just something new, but it was something that I was ready for. I wanted to get from underneath the wings of my parents. When when I was deciding on what school I wanted to go to, I had a scholarship offer to North Texas. I turned that down because I didn't want to stay in Texas. I wanted to get away from my parents. I didn't want to be near them. I wanted to grow and explore life and, discover it and experience life. Right. We spoke about that earlier.
Yes.
And that's what that was what was in my heart. That was my desire. So I followed that. And my journey in life led me to that. And so I didn't have a traditional pathway in terms of being an athlete and making it to college. So I started off my college career as a walk-on after leaving from high school, being the man, being ranked as one of the top running backs in Texas. So now I go from the top to the bottom, and so I'm number 7 on the depth chart at Georgia Tech. And for me, it was a big pond, and I was a little fish, but I was determined to become a big fish in that big pond. And so that's what I did. I made sure that I had a plan and a goal for myself, and I stayed focused on that plan and that goal. And Georgia Tech was really good. I got accepted into Georgia Tech, which was really good.
That is huge.
Which lets you know that, off the field, I wasn't just playing. Off the field, I wasn't just, just a student that wasn't, just an athlete that wasn't participating in my studies. All right. So I can hear my dad's voice echo in the background, education first, study first, your studies, your books. If you go and do something else, you're dumb, you're stupid,
Right.
My dad, he always emphasized education. If you know anything about African parents, that's all they talk about. It's like your books, your studies. I don't care about no sports.
Exactly. Right. Listen. And when the accent is with it too, it made you feel like, listen, you know what you're talking about, and I better listen. No, but I do know just from clientele and friends around me, just that education is really important to the African community and culture. And I want it to be just as important to the American Black culture as well. Because one of the things you just said that we're not going to skim over is when you went to Georgia Tech, you did it in a non-traditional way, an unconventional way, which means life in general, right? It's not this cookie cutter. And you got to understand there's different pathways to get to whatever the end of the road you want. Not what everybody else say. It just looks differently. And I love how you pointed out that I did this and I did it in a non-traditional, unconventional way. And another point you just made, that is a good point to life in general and those in these industries is You got accepted into Georgia Tech, which means that you were doing it off and on the field. That equates to, just like if you are a professional in anything, you have to understand business. You don't just understand the gift, the talent. You need to understand business. And this is how you take care of your business. So as a college athlete, you understood your talent, but you understood what you needed to take care of off of the field, which means you understood your business. Okay. So you are here, you're at Georgia Tech, you got accepted there, but you've done some amazing things. What's some things that you've done on the field at Georgia Tech?
Some of the amazing things was, one, starting off at the number 7th spot at running back, and then that 7 turning into a 1, becoming a starter. That's 1. 2, breaking the NCAA record for the most rushing yards in the bowl game. 3, the top 5 leading rusher in Georgia Tech history. And so, yeah, I put up some numbers, some accolades, and I'm pretty sure that there are more, but I don't.
Amazingness at the bowl game, that history at the bowl game. The one thing that I learned for myself, when we put in, we deserve our flowers. And it doesn't mean if somebody else don't give them to us, we're going to speak about our flowers, because our flowers is important for people to smell and see bloom. And what I learned, especially going throughout my college years, I just went through them because I had my nose down and I was grinding. I didn't really even pay attention to the things that I accomplished because I had a mission. I didn't have time to just process everything I'm doing. I had to process what I'm doing to get me to where I'm at. So it took me in my later years to realize the things that I'd done that were notable, to go back and see records that are still standing for this is 2022. So 22, it was 2001. So 21 years. Seeing making history in the SEC, being the first woman to win both hurdles. Those things I learned from other people. I didn't learn when I did it. I read news articles or something was brought up. So we are going to talk about the things that you've done, because we want people to see representation matter too, right? We want people to see, as they see the story unfold, what you've done, then what you hit, and then where you're at. So yeah, you've done amazing things at Georgia Tech. You've done great things when you got accepted to the was it the Hula Bowl?
Yeah, so the Hula Bowl. Yeah,
Hula Bowl.
Hula Senior Bowl. It was a Senior Bowl.
That was
I had a great time there. Performed really well. That allowed for my stock to go up in terms of getting drafted to the NFL. So I was exposed to a lot of things, but I did put in the hard work. It wasn't just some, no Rudy story. It went on beyond college and to the NFL. So I was still, in my mind, I was still a starter, right? Yes. So and so I had to maintain that air about myself. Yes. And I worked towards that, and I made sure that my confidence matched the gravity of that air. So my dad would always tell me, control the things that you can control. And that was me. That was my emotions. That was how I showed up to things. I had effort. That was one thing that people cannot take away from you, is effort. And so I gave 110% effort every single day. Right. And what triggered it was one of the coaches at the time. His name is Bill O'Brien. At the time, he told me that I sucked and that I wouldn't amount to anything. And so that triggered something inside of me. That triggered something inside my biology to be like, hold up, you don't even know who I am and where I'm from. Like, you don't know me. You don't know me. My parents instilled love in me. My dad instilled discipline in me, and never to fear another man. And so from that moment, I had made it up in my mind, like, I'm never going to allow for anyone to ever talk to me like that or take my dream away from me. And so I took it upon myself, and I worked. And I worked and I worked. I worked blindly a lot of times because I didn't know. As you said, I didn't really process everything. I was just going through the motion, just angry and hurt. And I used that anger and hurt energy to fuel me to become better as an athlete. And that is where I found a lot of triumph, a lot of victory and success, because a lot of times we can have anger energy, cantankerous energy, right? And if we use it in a destructive manner, because energy is energy, but depending on your mood, your emotions, right, how you channel them, it can either be constructive or destructive. And so for me, it was very productive and constructive for me to be able to keep a positive mindset and know that if there's anything I can change, it's going to be me. And that's what I did. And I changed my mind and my mindset, and I didn't want anybody to feel sorry for me. And I worked until I became that person that I saw in my vision initially when I said that I was going to be a starting running back at Georgia Tech.
So I like what you said. So what we're going to do here is back up, because you had that person that did not believe in you for whatever reason. They didn't want to believe in you, and possibly did believe in you, but didn't want you to believe in yourself. So the thing is, what individuals can really take away from this in our industries, first of all, you're not by yourself.
No.
When you think that people don't believe in you or they don't want to give you a shot. But what you could pick up from Prince just said, and I wrote this down, that energy, the energy you decide to accept can be destructive or constructive. So you're going to have those individuals who are poisonous, cancerous, vampires, or we call them in these industries, culture vultures. You don't have to sit and continue to have those conversations about those people.
Right.
Because those people can only destroy you, stop you, intimidate you if you allow the energy to be destructive. But the energy they put out, you can take that and flip it and make it constructive. So that's what I'm hearing that you took. There's an energy that's going to be put out. How you receive it and what you do with it, that's you.
That's you.
That's you. And we're all dealing with it. Someone who you heard that was coming up, that was great, doing amazing things, still came up against someone who didn't want him to believe or see all his amazingness. So this is not new. This is not new at all. So now I want to segue you to go into the NFL. So you finish up Georgia Tech. I'm going into NFL. Walk us through that a little bit.
All right. So finish up at Georgia Tech, and I get drafted to the Baltimore Ravens, 132nd pick. Fourth round. That was in 2006. And so once my college career was over, school wasn't over. I think I had probably like 12 more hours, maybe somewhere between 12 and 9 hours. And I was just like, you know what? I'm getting up out of here. I don't need this paper. I'm getting the other paper, y'all. Peace.
Exactly.
I'll be making way more money. I can come back and buy one of these things. Right. And so that was a mentality that I had. So I definitely left school early instead of trying to finish it. But get drafted to the Baltimore Ravens, and I played 3 incredible years for Baltimore, and I learned a lot. I gained a lot of respect from everyone, and I have a lot of friends from that time I was there. But some of the things that I learned most is just your connections and your respect. It goes a long way. It goes a very long way, and just how you carry yourself. And I had a really good time in Baltimore. They treated me well. I think that's one of the best facilities in the National Football League in terms of the organization, in terms of how they handle things. It's just, they're about their business, but they also allow the players to be human beings. And I just feel like some other organizations don't allow for their players to be human beings, as well as athletes. And so spent my 3 years with Baltimore. I learned a lot, but my career was cut short due to injuries. And so it just down spiraled into a lot of things. I wasn't ready for that transition, led to an identity crisis, which led to
we're going to get
depression.
there. Nope. Let's stop.
All right.
Well, I want to go right here with the points that you was making, because first of all, I took the path to become a certified NFL agent because that's something that I desired to do. It was really because of, as an attorney, I was assisting individuals when it comes to contracts and just all the legalities of different stuff that they wanted me to double check, because there's already a certain process that goes on when you talk about the NFL and agents and all that. So, I was encouraged, why don't you just, take that exam and see if you can get certified, so that way you're not just pigeonholed in this this space of attorney, you can take it to the next level. So I did it because of encouragement, which I also experienced some of those haters, poison, and all that stuff. What do you know about football? You sure? Well, it's hard because people don't pass in their first time. All these different things that people said. But first of all, that exam had nothing to do with knowing football. It has to do with understanding business and the business side of football. And as a person who do not play when it comes to business, all I did was study, and did everything I needed to do to equip me on the business side. But so I become this certified NFL agent. I get floods of people. I end up choosing 7 athletes. This is right before the pandemic hit. A lot of them had their pro day set with college that was canceled. Didn't know it was going to get canceled till later because they kept postponing it. We didn't know what was going on. They were shutting down things. But my mindset as a business person was, even if you don't have the pro day, even things get shut down, continue to train. And we had to get very creative. Everyone had to get creative. But what I learned then from a lot of people that I was dealing with was that tenacity that you need to have, that willpower, that drive that you can't look out for someone else to give you, wasn't necessarily there with everyone. You had the talent and everything was lined up for you. But when you were faced with this adversity, the question was, how will you be separated from everybody else being creative? Going back to your thing when you transition, what do you remember that you needed to have when you went to that transition from college to the NFL? What was it that allowed you to get on that platform of being drafted? Was it just the connections? Was it because you went to Georgia Tech? Was it a combination of what you did? Is there anything, on the field, is there anything you did off? What, as an athlete, separated you to actually make that cut?
Just doing all the small things correct. And just learning from my wins and my losses.
Okay.
A lot of people say you can learn from failure, but you can't learn from success. I beg to differ. Like that's completely wrong. You learn from every single thing that you do.
Every single thing. I love it.
I
love it.
Every single. So for when people say that, I'm like, wrong. And I kind of tune them out right away, because how can you say you don't learn from polarities? Like hot and cold.
Right.
Oh, well, I learned a lot from cold, but I didn't learn nothing from hot.
Right.
You learn scolding from hot. And
well, you won't even know cold is cold unless you learn hot was hot.
Exactly.
Don't know night unless you knew day. Like you can't call it anything unless you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I learned from all of that, and I just stayed focused on what I wanted to do. And I made sure I didn't get caught up in making decisions that wasn't heading towards my goal. And for me, the transition in terms of from college to the NFL, mentors are always key to you transitioning into anything. And I had my coaches, but I needed a mentor. I needed someone to say, hey, man, you got this. This is what you need to do. You do this every day. You master this, you'll be all right. Right.
And you listen.
And I would listen, but it has to come from a trusted source. A lot of times, for me, when I went into the NFL, we had this rookie symposium. At the rookie symposium, they were just like, people gonna come for your money. They're gonna try to take your money, even your own family. So it just made me shell up. And I didn't want to give nobody anything. All right. I was just like, I got to protect my money. This is what they told me. I got to protect my money. I'm the only one in the family who made this much money in this short amount of time, just like this. So like, if I start giving it away, I'm not gonna have any for myself. And so, I adopted this mentality, and then that mentality led into not being able to trust many people. All right. And because you do see a lot of two-face in that league, because that's just how it is. It's a competitive arena, and you have to protect yourself at all times. And so whether that's on the field or off the field. And so for me, a mentor was one of the main thing, and just someone to help guide you and navigate you throughout what you're going to see, what you can expect your first year, what you're going to expect your second year, what you can expect your third year. And that was one of the biggest things. That was one of the biggest takeaways for me in terms of transition from the from college to the
To the
NFL.
NFL. The one thing
Yeah,
you point out though was you got mentors, people around you to guide you. Guide you mean you still have to do the execution.
still have to do the execution.
You to help you navigate mean you still have to do the walking. You
Mm,
still have to move. They're assisting, not
yeah,
doing for you. And so
that's just like a compass. That's just like a compass, right? You can't just be like, okay, north. All right, get me to north compass. You know, you have to walk north, or
you
you have
have
to
to
travel
do
north.
it.
You
So
know, so
I want
yeah,
people to hear what he's saying on that, especially those with amazing talent transitioning to whatever your industry is. As entrepreneurs, transitioning to being an entrepreneur, you can't depend on people. You can learn, gain, all these, be assisted, guided, but at the end of the day, it's you that have to do whatever it is that you have to do to make it happen and to go to that next step. And another important thing you brought up is that where you went to, they treated you like a human being. You really love that. It even like a product. Well, we know 99.9% of all these industries, you are a product to them. It's not about emotion. It's not about this. It's about a bottom line. So do understand that when you get into a great situation, that you can get around individuals who respect you as a person, as your gift, as a human being. That's great. Be prepared that when you're in these industries, that you are a product to them, and don't let that, you take advantage of that situation. You take advantage of that mindset. Oh, I'm a product to you. I'm gonna be this best product that is out there, that I'm gonna be an asset, an irreplaceable one. And you have to control that. Don't let nobody just treat you like non-human and you're a victim. And oh, that's what you think I am? I'm this and I'm irreplaceable. All right. So now you had your injury.
Yes.
Now you had your injury. And the thing you talked about, and this is why I built it up to this, identity. Because you mentioned identity crisis. And this is what I wanted to do. I wanted you to put out there all the great stuff, right? Because we also talk about why me, and it'd be great things. And what we do is wrap ourselves into what we do and not who we are. And when we wrap ourselves into what we do, our identity can be snatched away. It can fluctuate, and it can cause all types of things that we're going to get into. But like you said, you built up all this great stuff, and Prince wrapped his identity around all this greatness of what he was doing, and even defining and describing it as who you are.
Right.
But it was what you was doing. So the what happened. So you get injured, and what does that look like?
So I had a series of injuries, like consecutive. So, well, I would say I started off my rookie year. I wasn't injured. They just didn't think that I was ready to play, so it was more my developmental year. After that, the next year I ended up getting injured before the season began, and it was a hamstring injury. At the time, they had IR, which is injury reserve.
Yes.
And so you get put on injury reserve, you're done for the year. But now they changed the rule pretty recently. But I was under the rule of you get placed on injury reserve, you're out for the whole season. So I wasn't going to come back from my injury until the second week of the season. And so they just put me on IR for the rest of the year. So that was my second year. My third year, I ended up getting injured again right before the season began in camp. And this time I tore my labrum. And so I was like, oh my goodness. So Baltimore kept me again. And I at this time, I was just feeling like, man, I am mentally, psychologically spent. I didn't know, I was emotionally bruised, just didn't know what to do, who to turn to, who to talk to. I was just sitting with my thoughts. And since I didn't have any control of my thoughts or never done any type of mental exercise, I didn't know what I was going through. I was just trying to hold it all together. And when you're in a relationship, you lose yourself, right? Because it's it's the relationship, is what you do. You do it every day. Just come home, or I'm this, I'm that, or I'm a husband, or I'm a wife, or but that's not you. That's just what you do.
Exactly.
That's not who you are. Who you are is beyond the surface level. And I had to go through that. I had to experience that. And it was like telling the kid, don't touch the stove. But I'm the kid that touched the stove and I had to get burnt first and be like, oh my goodness, this hurts. I'm not going to do that again. Right. And so that's what I had to go through. And eventually uh, I matured and I evolved over time, but it was a struggle in the beginning because you have been doing something for so long, you tie your identity around that. And once it's not just you don't have an opportunity to prepare for something like this. You don't have an opportunity to prepare for a transition like this. You don't have an opportunity to prepare for uh, what you do to be snatched away from you. Boom. It's like a lawyer or a doctor. They're gonna let you know, like, okay, well, we're gonna have to go through a process. Let's go over what you've done, and this is the reason why you're probably gonna be barred from doing any type of law, from doing any type of medicine. So it's a process. This is the process for that transition from being a professional athlete is like, okay, so we're gonna look to go in a different direction. So yeah, thank you for everything, and that's it. And so you try to ask questions, but you are overwhelmed by emotions.
Yeah.
So how can you ask a question when it's just like, huh? I was caught off guard. Hold on, oh, coach, wait, time out. Like I was coming into this meeting and thinking about something else, not this. And so you don't get a chance to really express yourself. You don't know how to express yourself. You don't know what to say unless you're just equipped and you've been in that environment. But for me, it was a struggle, and uh, I had to learn, how to bounce back, and that's when I had to do my own self rehabilitation. It can look different for a lot of people, but I recommend counseling. I recommend therapy. I recommend meditation and mindfulness. These are some of the remedies that I use that help me, and I know that they will help others because I teach this stuff now,
Right. And
right?
we're going to get
And
into that.
right, I teach this, and my success rate is 110%, not 100%, but
That's right.
110%.
But I like how you said, because you said no one's prepared. And this is why it's important to use these platforms to share your process. So if someone doesn't have to deal with that, they don't. So preparation really helps you, whatever you got to deal with. So now those who are listening will understand identity. Wrapping yourself up into what you do is totally different than wrapping yourself up into who you are. What you
Right.
do can always change, and someone can come and snatch that away from you, which would put you in a position to not be prepared for that. But if you're doing the things you just mentioned, such as mindfulness, all these things is a part of discovering who you are in the beginning, will
Right.
help you when certain situations happen with what you do. It's not to say that you're not going to have emotion about it, because there's things that like you said, it's a relationship. You can have emotions, feel a certain way, but you won't lose yourself. There's a difference between losing yourself
Yep.
and going through a wash. And people's wash look different. You're going to go through
Right.
emotions, but you still will never have to find yourself, because no matter what changes, you know who you are, so you won't get lost. So I think what you brought up, preparation, that key word, be
Yeah.
prepared. We need to start preparing now. We need to start learning
Right.
what does all this look like? These different industries, things that's going on. I don't care what it is. It don't have to be the NFL. It could be
Right.
anything you're dealing with, military. Understand that there's uncertainties and unpredictabilities in anything that you're a part of. But the one thing that can be certain is who you are. No
Yes.
matter what change around you, that can be grounded. Okay, but it wasn't grounded for you. You had to learn. You found your identity being stripped and lost. What happened? What happened after that?
Being stripped and loss of my identity. What happened after that was a down spiraling effect of the cause, right? So in terms of preparation, I prepared myself, but I didn't prepare myself on top of preparing myself, because there's different levels of preparation. And so for me, I prepared myself in terms of, I had a plan B. So I had a plan A and a plan B. But when my plan A fell through, I couldn't even focus on plan B. I just stayed focused on plan A. And that's where I went wrong. But I'm not going to say I went wrong, because I didn't have any control of my emotions, my emotions, my energy and motion. And so my energy was scattered. And it was, and so your energy has to be in motion. Energy is neither destroyed nor created. So
Absolutely.
it's always in motion. So your energy has to be directed into something that's constructive or destructive. And so at that time, since I didn't have a platform to be able to express or display how I was feeling, right? Because I can take it out on the field and just hit somebody and then feel good about myself and get paid for it and get rewarded for it. But I didn't have that anymore. And so I had all of this cantankerous and volatile energy inside of me, and I didn't have nowhere to express it. And so how do you do that when you're out in the real world and you're not this athlete anymore, and all of a sudden you're going to do something that you did as an athlete, but it doesn't work as a civilian, and now there are consequences, and now you have to deal with those consequences. So for me, this identity crisis, man, it really tore me up, because from this point on, I started looking at myself and I'm like, I'm losing a lot of things that I work for. You know, I'm losing my one of my houses. I'm losing my condo. I just lost my job. I'm losing my relationship that I have with the woman at the time. I just start losing a lot of things, right? And so from my perspective and my point of view, I was like, I'm a loser, right? For a minute I was a winner, now I'm a loser. So I just took on that mindset, and from there, the mind, it repeats things over and over and over again, whether it's positive, whether it's negative, whether it's constructive or destructive. And so I was in this destructive mode. I was in this negative mode. You let yourself down. You let your family down. How could you do this? Like, you should be embarrassed. You should be ashamed of what you've done. Like, how can you? Like, I thought you said that you was a superstar, right? So I started experiencing, what was that? That what do they call it? The fraud.
Self-sabotage. Oh, what?
No,
What?
like the fraud, imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Yes.
Right. I started feeling imposter syndrome, and I'm just like, I'm not who I say I am, you know. And so I was identifying with that instead of identifying with, I'm Prince, right? I was identifying with, like, I'm the football player, PJ Daniels. And if you notice what I just said, I said I'm the football player, not my name first. That's how I was identifying myself. And so when you put your label of something, of what you do, in front of your name of who you are, right, that just changes the whole dynamic and the perspective of how you see yourself. And so I was seeing myself as this athlete, but now I don't have this platform anymore. How can I call myself an athlete? So a lot of psychological things were happening within me. And so I had to learn how to find myself by, and I'm going to go into it in just a little bit, but I had to learn how to find myself by studying myself. And that's what we don't do. We don't spend enough time with ourselves to understand ourselves, to study ourselves, to become aware of who we are, what triggers us, what pushes us, what motivates us, what inspires us, what desires do we have to aspire towards a goal that we've always had within us, right? What do they say? You know, make your dreams come true. As a kid, you have dreams, but when you become an adult, you got to make those dreams become a reality. Like, how do you do that? Like, why did nobody tell me, you know, what I needed to do? I did it in football, but for some reason it didn't pan out. So, right. And so I was dealt all of these ideas and these thoughts, and I was just in this mental conundrum. I'm like, what's next? Where do I go? And for me, it was luckily I had been attending the monastery before my football career was over, which allowed for me to regain balance. but I was definitely falling off the deep end. I was looking to commit suicide. I had suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideation. I practiced the suicide. Thank God nothing. It didn't pan out on the day when I was planning on making it happen. Because a couple other things disrupted my thought pattern at that time, and so for me, it was just. I had to try to take it not one day at a time, but like 1 second, 1 minute at a time, because I was really tore up. And in order for me to come back from where I was, I needed some divine intervention. And I did receive it, but I didn't know what was going to happen next. My identity was tied into something that I didn't have a platform for. And so now I had to be mindful of my actions, what I do, who I speak to, how I carry myself going out with my friends. It was so many things that happened during that time. And so that was the time where I had to grow up, but I had to look deep within myself and to figure out who the hell I was.
Absolutely. And what I want to do is, because like you just said, you was losing a lot physically around you. So then the result of that was feel like you was losing a lot internally.
Right.
And that's where things just started to really spiral down. And that's happening a lot more so now because of what we've been dealing with since 2019, right? So it's happening in general. But I want to focus on how these things are definitely having an uptick in these industries with athletes, entertainers, entrepreneurs who feel like all that I've done. Rest in peace to hear recently Regina King's son.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Spiral. And people look at individuals like Robin Williams, somebody that was an entrepreneur like Kate Spade. They had it all. Wait, it's different. It's not like me. It's different. No, you can have it. You hear someone, that's why I built up the story. Someone who had a lot, accomplished a lot, had opportunities, and then things happen also to those type of people. And then because this individual, Mr. Prince, identity was wrapped up in those things that rightfully so he put out, when that was snatched away, start to lose themselves. So when we talk about these entertainers and athletes, how they can do it, and at least they had this, that's just selfish to think like that. You're still people, you're still human beings that have to understand who you are to know how to deal with you. No industry, none of that exempts you from having to learn how to navigate you as existing energy in order not to do it. And that's what Regina. So, and it's up to you if you don't mind, because I would like for you, if you can, because when people read like the last tweet of Regina King's son, when he talked about the SpongeBob situation and different things going on in his head, people are like trying to wrap their brain around, how does this happen? What does that even look like? How do you get there? Like, what between last tweet and then this, how does that happen? Can you, and I've heard the story. So if it's triggering, you don't want to go into it, that's fine. You don't have to. But I've heard the story of how just you were planning, like you mentioned, you planned, but I heard how the different steps of that to give people a visual of how this person is not just I planned in my head. These things, like her son, probably took steps.
Yeah.
And didn't have an opportunity in the last step to have something to turn them around. So it didn't go that way. But do you mind sharing how your plan looked?
Yeah. Wow. Man, you just made my heart palpitate. It's man, this is why I do the work that I do. Okay, so what do? I work with professional athletes, elite athletes, high achievers, entertainers, just people that are working to become successful. They reach a level of success, but they're unfulfilled
and not allowed to be human.
Not allowed to be
by
human.
us. Because you have a talent, they feel like that's why you see so-called, I call them bullies online. Like, they're still not human. You think you can say whatever you want to say, what they shouldn't have asked for the fame. What do you mean? No, they have a gift that they put out that you are loving, that they're giving back to the world. They're still human beings. So please, yes, you work with these individuals, thank goodness, because they're still human beings that have to understand how to navigate our energy. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I just want to my condolences to the goddess, the Queen Regina King, you know, and her passing of her son. And to get into, you know, this planning. So it's a preparation. Preparation is the key to all of this, right? Just in the same way that you prepare for something that's positive, you do the exact same thing for something that's negative. There's no steps that are different, right? And what happens is you reach a point where you feel disgusted. You reach a point where you feel that you're not able to reach out to anybody. You feel ashamed of you.
I'm giving you the floor. Hold on. I mean, oh,
If so, yeah, you feel disgusted. You feel low, and you feel like you're not able to reach out to anybody. You feel that no one else is going through what you're going through, and like there has to be a moment and a time where this shit just needs to stop. And I use profanity to let you know that that's the way that you feel. You feel so angry, but yet so saddened, and yet so like determined. I gotta, you know, I need to do this. This has to happen, right? And so all of that is preparation, right? For me, my preparation was to make what I was doing that was very disgusting. That is a very disgusting action. I was making it cool. I was prepping myself as in like, shit, I'm about to kill myself. Yeah, that's what I'm about to do. Yeah, it's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope. There's nothing dope about that. But I did that because I was so hurt. Look, I'm holding on to my scarf right now because I'm explaining it. Like I'm just going. I'm experiencing, you know, those that moment, those emotions, those feelings, because it's hard to overcome that. It's like if you see somebody that's happy and they're in joy, you can't break them out of that space because they don't see anything else except happiness and joy. So the same thing with someone that's sad and depressed and feeling suicidal, they can't see anything of a glimmer of hope or sunshine or joy. Like how, you know, like how? And so you get caught up in this shell and this mindset, and your brain perpetuates these same thoughts over and over again. So no matter what you try to do, you're going to hear them. You're going to hear them. You're going to hear them, and nobody else is going to hear them because it's internal. So then, you know, you get to a point where you're just like, okay, well, shoot, how do I make this happen? And you ask yourself, and you're just like, well, let's put a plan together. And that's what people do. They plan their demise. That's what I did. I planned my demise, and I was just like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. And so that's what I did. My day one, I pulled out my gun, and I started pulling the trigger on myself. I would cock the gun back and pull the trigger on myself and click. I could feel it, you know, like just in my, just the thought, the energy, it would just rush through my body, right? It was a combination of my adrenaline rush as well. Just like, dang, you're like, you really gonna kill yourself, right? And then and with tears as well, because I'm just like sad because I don't know this individual. I don't know who I am, and since I don't know who I am, I'm willing to destroy that. Right, that's when, and because I'm fearful of what else could possibly happen. I lost this, I lost that. I'm about to lose something else. Before I lose it all, I want to stop this. Right before I lose myself, I want to stop all of this and destroy myself because I don't like this. I don't like who I am in this lifetime. I don't like, you know, where I am. Yeah, I got everything, but I'm fulfilled. And so day two comes for me. I load the gun, put it underneath. No, I don't load the gun. Excuse me. I have the gun, and I just put my bullets. I actually have 3 bullets. Why? I don't know, because it only takes 1 bullet to harm yourself, you know. But I put them out there, to see myself. Okay, I'm going to load these bullets on day 3. I put a 3-day plan together for my demise, and so I made it to day 3, and something miraculous happened. But let me finish this. So day 2, I'm doing the exact same act or action by cocking the gun back and pulling the trigger on myself, and then I left my items in my closet in my bedroom in my house, and then I would lay it down after all this, crying and stuff. I'll get up, I'll do some push-ups, some dips, some sit-ups, some squats, get myself back to like, I'm good, and I'll go in the living room and talk to my parents as if nothing happened. They didn't even know that something was going on with me. I didn't even share it. It was just, my mind was just in a dark space, and it's just something that is hard to explain, right? Because you don't feel that anyone else understands what you're going through. And so next day comes, day 3 comes, and then when day 3 comes, I start loading my gun that morning. And before, I was just like, all right, before I do this, yeah, I'm gonna make some phone calls just to see what anybody has to say, but I don't know, whatever. So I ended up calling 6 people. I ended up calling 7 people in total, but the first 6 people, my mom, one of my professors in college, my uncles, my brother, one of my old teammates. I called everybody, and it was just like, it was like a, wow, oh, yeah, or like, man, you don't know what the hell I'm going through. Like, you can't even relate to me. And nobody related to me, even with all the 7 people that I called. But there was this moment in my 7th phone call where, now this is what I'm grateful and I'm blessed for, to have something like this, to have to be a part of a monastery, right? And to really dive deep into who you are, because you lose your identity and all the things that you attain to do, and your career, and you've worked this hard, and this is who I am, and I deserve to be treated this way because this is what I do. And that has nothing to do, or yeah, it has nothing to do with who you are as an individual. And so I called the 7th person. It was the guru at the monastery. I lament, I got this going on. I lost this. I lost my house. I lost my woman. I lost my car. I lost this. I lost my job. And after I finished dramatically lamenting, he was like, "Are you done?" And for the first time, I was aware of myself exhaling, like, what? I had to think about it. I was like, what? I guess I am done. And he was like, meditate, and hung up the phone. I was like, what's going on? And so that right there really made me angry. It triggered something in my biology. It made me mad because I was like, how the fuck is a god doggone meditation gonna help me? What the fuck? Did you not hear what I was saying to you? You know what? Fuck, F that. I'm about to go in my closet, right, and go and blow and take care of this. I'm thinking that this guru is supposed to help me. How he gonna help me? So as I'm walking to my room, stumping in there angry, to my right is my closet. Well, to my right is my bathroom. I go through my bathroom, and my closet is where my tools were. To my left, there's my meditation pillow. And for some odd reason, there was just a light beaming on the meditation pillow. I'm looking at it like, I start cursing. I'm like, yeah, you know what, God, you over here playing tricks on me. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't know. Like, my blinds are closed. I don't understand how is there light still beaming in on this. Like, what is going on? So, I was just like, you know what? I don't know how this meditation gonna work, but let me just see. And so at that moment in time, I said, you know what? All right, so I'll commit to 1 hour, no matter what. I'll sit through this 1 hour of meditation. And if nothing happens, I'm getting up and I'm going to shoot myself. And I did it. I set a timer for 1 hour and I sat down. And during this meditation, it was one of the toughest meditations that I ever had in my entire life, in my entire existence. And the reason why is because, as I mentioned before, the thing is the reason why we have a hard time spending time with ourselves, especially somebody that's depressed or experiencing depression, is because you are not happy with some of the decisions that you've made in your life. And you're not happy with the outcome. And so if there's anyone that you despise or dislike, and you're not happy with their decisions or their outcomes, you're gonna be like, I'm not trying to spend time with them. Right? So that same concept and mindset applies to you as well. Like I'm not trying to sit and spend time with myself. Right? And so you're angry at yourself for the stuff that happened in the past when it wasn't happening to you, it was happening for you. Right? But our brain is not geared towards thinking like that. You need a mentor to help guide you to have that perspective so you can see those things. And so I sat down in this meditation and I struggled because I was struggling with myself. I was struggling. Just everything was like you let yourself down. You done lost your job. You done lost your woman. You done lost this. You done lost, like, you weak. You sorry. You were an imposter. Just every single thing. And I had to sit with that. And I was crying. I was sweating. I was in a lot of pain. And I wanted to get up. 45 minutes in, 35 minutes in, I was like, I need to get up. And it was my other mind was just saying, sit your ass down. You said 1 hour, commit to it. And so I did. So the last 3 minutes of the meditation is when that aha moment happened. And I was sitting there and I remember I had opened my eye. I opened my eyes to see how much time I had left. I'm just like, when is this? When is it? That's what I was saying. Like, when is this shit going to be over? When is it going to be over? I just wanted to be over. I don't like all this pain that I'm going through, that I'm trying to endure so I can try to save myself. Like, let's go and do this. Meaning, let's go and kill yourself. And those last 3 minutes, I remember opening one of my eyes, and as I opened my eye, I saw how much time was left. I had 3 minutes left, and then a sweat bead came into my eye and made me close my eye again. And I just remember saying to myself, just let go. And I took a deep breath in, and I exhaled. And when I did that, the weight of my legs, like the pain that I was having, just disappeared within those few seconds of me inhaling and exhaling. And all of a sudden I felt the outside of my knees touch the ground, like doop. I'm just like, what in the And so the energy inside of my body shot up into my brain and my mind. And so now it put me in this headspace. And so when I reached this space was so quiet. It was like this space where thoughts are created, because I could hear my thoughts. I can see them before they form. And I was just in this space, and I'm just like, wow, where am I? And there were 3 questions that my higher self asked me. And it said, what are you doing? It asked me that twice. And my response to those was, I'm about to kill myself. And the third time it happened, I said that I responded the same way, but it was, I'm about to kill myself. So it slowed down, my perspective changed, and I heard exactly what I was saying. I became aware of it, and it became crystal clear. And from that moment, when I had that moment of realization, my timer went off. And it just sucked me out of that space. I was like, wait, what was that? 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 And that was my moment of like, this is it. This is the answer. This is the answer. You know, so that moment I had became a believer. Not even a believer. My realization and my level of awareness allowed for me to realize that there was something else. There was a way out. And so this is the reason why I do what I do, because I know that point of no return. And I was able to reach that point of no return. But as I disciplined myself to endure everything that was going on, I was able to get over the hump. When a lot of people, they stop at the hump and they're just like, let's just end it, boom. Right? I was able to get over that hump. And when I discovered that, I was just like, ha, I got it. Right? And so after this happened, like tears are streaming down my face. Everything is coming, you know, like everything is just pouring out of me, you know, from the sweat and everything else. I'm just like, what happened? What happened? What happened? I went into my closet. I unloaded my gun. I put the bullets up. I put the gun up, and I never try to harm myself ever again. And I made it my life purpose and mission to make sure that nobody else goes through this. So if anybody that's listening, everyone that's listening, if you need that help, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, to call me, because this is what I do. This is my life work. And I'm here for a purpose, and I'm fulfilling my purpose because I'm fulfilled. And I had the success at some point in time, and I was unfulfilled, but now I'm fulfilled and I'm successful. And I want everyone else that has one of the two to feel the exact same way that I feel. And so this is why I do what I do, to make sure that people, don't fall in those same pitfalls.
And that's what we're going to get into with when we end it. We're going to talk about exactly what you do from your books. I don't know if you still, because the pandemic, the retreats, I don't know if it went virtual or not. We're going to get into some of those things, but what I want to point out right before we get into that is, first of all, we got to take a breath, right? Because although we would never fully understand, you gave us a glimpse of somewhat, because people don't talk about this. You just hear this and then the end. And there's so much in between we fill in. We try to do whatever we need to do to understand. And it's not about doing something to do something to understand. It's about knowing. Mm-hmm. And that goes to the point you made. It wasn't the process you went through. Wasn't like you said, you came out and now you believe. You have a knowing. There's a different level. You have this thing where, you may have some faith, and then faith will help you to believe, but you go to another level when you go from believe to know.
To know, that's it.
And when you just went through that whole process, it was a knowing. And without me getting too deep on people listening, I got to just point out some of the things I wrote down that you said that is just evidence. And people could call it whatever they want, because I don't subscribe to religion in the sense of the social construct of what people say that mean. Religion to me just means, true to the word, is just religiously do something over and over. If I'm a religious meditator, that's my religion, I religiously do it. But I'm not talking about this other thing. I'm talking about something that transcends all that touches on how all different people, whatever you believe, what I'm talking about touches on all of whatever you believe. But you believe in something that's higher than you. Call it what you want, even something that scientists can't dismiss, right? And what you just talked about gave facts and evidence to that, because you talked about, one, you weren't even the person. When you got to this point, you're someone just different. You're not that person that, because the imposter syndrome thing, you're not even whoever, you started to detach. There's a detachment process before this exit, right? And then you call these people. So there is this internal fight still of, I'm going to do this, but I'm crying out for help. I'm going to do this, but I really don't. Show me something, tell me something, do something that would help me not to. So when we think about all this, when people hit rock bottom, it's not like, oh, they just checked out, it's weak. It actually takes work. That's not weak. It actually takes more strength and power. Like you said, the planning. So you're this internal fight. Then you call 7 people. I'm a numbers person. Huge. 7. And it took the 7th situation that you didn't even understand. That you hung up. And when that person just said, just go meditate. What? Da, 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 da. When you look to left and right, when you seen your meditation pillow and you seen a light on it, a light on it.
A light.
That guru, remember I said earlier, people who's listening, guru's about shedding light on darkness. So you end with a guru, 7th call, and you have light.
And I have light.
And the light he gave was just simple, meditate, and was confident in it. You understand him, but he knew my job I did, and I'm good and I'm comfortable. I am so secure that that's not going to happen. So when you hung up, that light was there. You sat down, you promised yourself an hour. You had this internal fight going on, which again resembles that it's not just who you see, y'all. When we look at it in the mirror, there's so many layers to us. This is not Prince forcing himself to think something and not think something. This is him experiencing all these things that's going on, because he even stepped back to see what was actually going on. But again, I'm not gonna get too deep.
You about to make some tears come out of my eyes, because I'm just like,
because
man.
You went through an enlightenment. That thing you went through brought you to what you're gonna do right now throughout for other people. That if people, played over and over again, people to go back, listen and dissect what happened through that whole process. That wasn't just something. So many codes was in that entire process. You had this internal conversation. You got a glimpse into, because a lot of people, we throw words around again, like I told you before, enlightenment. That's another level. Just because you become educated, people can make you enlightened. When you reach enlightenment, there's this knowing, and you went through a realm that you were able to experience these different elements of who we are. One of the elements is going to be constant. And you were able to be the seer and the hearer of all these internal situations going on with this internal conversation. And then when that last, was it 3 minutes or so left?
Last 3 minutes of the meditation.
You took 3 minutes. Let's talk about the number. Last 3 minutes has happened. 7 was 1, completion. This 3, this full energy that represents all.
The Trinity, right?
The Trinity. He takes a breath. Everything is in breath. That thing that you're looking for that exists is in breath. We begin with breath. We end with breath. When people exit, the one thing they could tell you when they transition out was always that deep breath. And that deep breath, the difference between transitioning is between our eyes. It's breath. And what happened was in that deep breath and out, you felt the pain out your legs go, the relaxation. You felt that thing that governs us all, that you tapped into breath. So just play all that back. And that brings me to your knowing. You went through, you were indoctrinated into something that is amazing, that gives you that extra thing to help people. So let's talk about this book we see right behind him, The Mindfulness of the Ultimate Athlete. It's balancing power and peace, correct?
Right.
That you've done retreats. There's so many things, and I pray and hope, and I know it's going to happen, so many more things that you're going to continue to expound on with individuals. But talk about the book. Like I mentioned earlier, to me, it's like the subject matter, you using yourself, man. Helping people deal with this darkness. So go ahead, let's talk about the book and anything else you have going on to assist these people from your place of knowing.
Yeah, so my book, I speak about my book first.
Yes.
My book is Mindfulness for the Ultimate Athlete, Mastering the Balance Between Power and Peace. And that byline is very powerful. Mastering the balance between power and peace.
Yes, it is.
Um, balance, balance, balance is just like breath. Balance is a part of your everyday life. In order for you to walk, in order for you as a child, in order for you to get up and walk, you need balance. And so your balance begins during your formative years. In order for you to crawl, you need balance. You need balance in every single thing that you do. And most people, you hear some people say, "Oh yeah, balance now." No, you do need balance, because you need to be able to balance, certain things. How are you going to balance how are you going to balance all your responsibilities whenever you have them, right? So you're not just able to like, oh, I deal with them as soon as they come. You need to be able to balance these things and maintain them. And so what I'm teaching athletes, not just athletes in a professional sport, but athletes in life, because we are all athletes in this game of life.
Yes.
We got to jump over hurdles. We got to jump through hoops. You got to jump through hoops with fire on it. Yeah, there's so many things that we go through. But, the main thing that I was teaching everyone was just learning how to find your balance, find your power and your peace. Meaning your power is the thing that you are familiar with, that you know already. You know your body. If you work out, you can get strong and you can do a number of things. But when it comes to having your peace, you have to have peace so that way it can counterbalance that power, because you cannot be too destructive with everything that you do, nor can you be too passive and submissive with everything that you do. So you got to find that beautiful blend somewhere in between. And this book helps you discover that blend, discover that balance, because once you find that balance, then you align your mind, you align your body, and you align your spirit. And when you do that, the zone is already there. It's just been waiting for you to connect with it. And so once you can align these three things, your body, your mind, and your spirit, then you connect with your higher self, your zone. And when that happens, this allows for you to operate at such an optimal level that no one can stop you except you and your thoughts. But you got to learn how to discipline your thoughts. You got to be more mindful of who you are and understand who you are, and understand what you do is not who you are, right? So these are the things I'm teaching you on multiple levels of how to excel in your sport, excel in business, excel in your career and whatever that you're doing. But also on a deeper level, I teach you about who you are and learning how to identify with that, but still be successful in your sport. Still be successful in your business, still be successful in your career. And that is what this book is about, is teaching everyone how to find that balance within themselves, and to not just have it and just learn how to balance and juggle everything, but thrive in it and be your most optimal self. So that's the book. And the things that I do, I do coaching, mentoring. I like to call it mentoring because I call myself a high performance mentor, but coaching is a word that people are familiar with. So I'll just take that as like a title, that's something that I do, right? But it's not who I am. But I'm a mentor, I'm a high performance mentor, and I make sure that you can balance, the fame with also being a human. So how do you do that? Luckily right now, the mask is a good thing as well, right? Just having a mask on your face, people can't really identify you as quickly, and so you can freely walk around. But aside from all of that, it's just being okay with the fame. Like I heard Dave Chappelle talk about fame, and his talk about fame was completely different and a different perspective than a lot of people. He was like, I love fame, right? A lot of people don't like the fame. He was like, I love the fame, right? And so the thing is what you have to learn how to do is just love who you are, right? And enjoy what you do. You don't have to love what you do, but find the enjoyment in what you're doing. And that way you don't lose yourself, because you get enjoyment in the stuff that you're doing, right? And but you're still happy with who you are, and you accept yourself for who you are. So when you have this fame, you gotta understand that people are gonna be there. People are gonna be like, oh my goodness, look at you, you are amazing. And regale in that. You, like you said, you put in the hard work. So let's get your flowers right now. So think about it. Every single time somebody comes up to you, they're giving you your flowers. And as they give you your flowers, you know, it empowers you to continue to do the things that you enjoy doing. And so I don't know, a lot of times there's just, I just want to be human. I just want to, yeah, you want to be. Okay, so if you want to be human, then if you have money, go and find a place where you can sequester yourself, seclude yourself, and do all those little things, and make that desire become a reality, make it come true. You can go to a small town. Look, Dave Chappelle went to Africa, you know, when his deal didn't go through.
Right.
And nobody bothered him there. So think about that mindset, right? You turn down $50 million, boom. All right, you jet set to Africa and you're there, and nobody knows anything about you. No media, no press, no, where's Dave? Everyone was just like, where is he at? Where is he at? He just took off and, you know, left 50 million. So the thing is, there's a balance. And you find that balance within yourself. And if you have the resources to create that balance, whether it's a small balance or a big balance, then you create it, right? You have fame. This is where your fame is. If you want to get away from the fame, you go and find a remote place in Montana, a remote place in Wyoming, a remote place in somewhere else, right? Where people don't really know your name, or go to Africa. And during that time, it's like these little small breaks within your fame history. So you create it, right? Like, oh, I'm going to go to the grocery store today. The grocery store is probably 22 miles from where you're staying at, but you get to go there. Nobody's going to say, hey, it's you. They'll just be like, well, there you go. There's another person, right? And so this is how you create these things. But a lot of times we don't have the mental bandwidth to be able to broaden our perspective and see these things, because we are in what we do. And so that's what I do. I do the coaching. I have courses, I have curriculums, but yeah, the main thing that I do, I just work with people on 3-month sprints. That's what I like to call them, 3-month sprints instead of journeys, because journeys sound like it's a long time, but a 3-month sprint, we get a chance to work together. You get the chance to see the transformation. So I help people transform before they transition, whether that's in business, whether that's in sports or in life.
Hey, that's a t-shirt you better put on. Transform before
You
transition. And where is website, anywhere people can reach you? I mean, I'm gonna post that stuff, but say it. Where's the coaching platform?
Yeah. So well, all my information, you can find it on my website at www.princedanielsjr.com, or you can reach out to me on Instagram at princeadjr. Or if you have more inquiries, just hit info@princedanielsjr.com.
Nice. And like Prince said, understanding who you are. So I am creative. I am power. I am aligned. I am purposed. I am gifted. Those are the I ams. So no matter if the platform change, once you really, truly know the I am, not just have faith in it, not just believe, but know the I am, no matter if the platform change, you're still power. So that means you're going to maximize another platform. You're still aligned, which means you're still going to be balanced on the other platform. You're creative. You're still going to create. So the I am is your consistency. That doesn't move. The what you do can change
all day,
over and over and over, out of your control and in your control. So really embed in the who you are. And that is what Prince does. And I'm a big, now anyone that knows me, and if you don't, better ask somebody, Google me. I don't promote anybody or anything because I'm one of those skeptical people, not just because I provide a service as attorney. See, I am an empowerer. I am an educator who uses the conduits of an attorney. As a person who does that, I vet everything. And there's so many people out here claiming to be, coaches and educators and this and that and study. Okay, that's fine. I ain't get into them. I'm going to let you know when you're dealing with someone who is in the knowing, went through an indoctrination, here to tell it, been in an industry. We know how we are in our industries. You have to know my industry. Do you know? Been in it.
Right.
That's relatable to not just the industry, but life. Because like you said, life is a sport. And that's why the general population really, really are attracted to entertainers and athletes and all this, because the level of commitment and things that we have to do, that's what you want in life anyway. You want to kind of mock that and put that in life. And a person who has done that, still here standing, the guru who can shed darkness, light on your darkness. Listen.
Yeah.
This is why I want to use my platforms to bring you authenticity, genuines. Don't just have these people out here saying, because we're vulnerable, and we're more vulnerable now in these times. People out here saying, I'm a coach, I'm going to show you how to get here and get it. This person's talking about showing you how to go inside that can take you to any level that you want to go.
Ooh.
So you need to listen, pick up this book, Prince.
Yes.
You have audio. If not, we're going to work on that.
So that's a beautiful thing. So I'm working on my audio book right now, and it's going to be dropping pretty soon. So I am reading it, and you get a chance to hear my voice. You get a chance to hear me express the words, because reading a book is one thing, but when you express the words, as how I intended for you to hear it, to receive it, for it to be conveyed, it has a different effect, and it's a moving effect, meaning like it'll make you get up and be like, okay, you know what, I'm ready to make that change right here, right now. And so when I get a chance to read this book, I'm putting my heart and my energy and my soul and my spirit into it, so that way it can reach your energy, your heart, your soul, and your spirit as well, because I am using my internal spirit, my in spirit, to inspire you. And when I speak to people, I don't speak to your mind, I speak to your heart, because the heart is the house of the spirit. The heart is the house of the soul. So a lot of times whenever I say things to people, it goes over their head, but it wasn't intended for their mind. It was intended for their heart.
And this audio book, first of all, whoever's listening, whether it's on the platform, major streaming, or listening, watching, you already know the audio book is going to be piercing. Just listening to Prince deliver what he delivered today. Talk about get up. Oh, I had to sit down. I had to sit back. I'm asking you, you good? You okay? I gotta ask myself, you good? You okay? That's why it is important to come out of it's coming and pouring out of you into others. So I'm excited. Although I got the hard copy, I can't wait for the audiobook. And we know we got to reach. I want no excuses. We got to reach the masses, because people just don't pick up books. So I'm not going to knock you, knock that, whatever you do. So we need to meet them where they're at. And so that audio's coming now for those who say, well, I really don't read, or I don't have time. Well, you got audio. You always have time. You're driving, put things in. You're going to get this book, and we're going to keep you abreast on when to do it. But you're going to connect with Prince Daniel, so you can stay in tune of what's actually going on. So go to the website to find out where all social media platforms are and connect with him. Gift the book to people who like to read. And then you could also wait for the audio. But this is important. This is why I use my platform for us to not just survive. We need to thrive now. And I'm pulling those people around that can tie it all together. So you have no excuse to say, but you don't understand where. All right. So last question. If you were a superhero.
Yes.
A superhero, you could change one thing in our society, our world, our universe, what would that be?
What would I change? Man, you stopped me in my tracks on this one.
I felt I know what you was gonna say.
What was it? What did you feel?
People's perception on mindfulness and
I was
meditation.
going
That once
to
they
say that.
everyone, because once they all can change, we broke the code.
We broke the code.
That's what you call say, shook the table.
Take
We shook the table.
Right. Yeah. So it's that level of awareness. Just I wish that people can change the level of awareness when it comes to just discovery, exploration, just exploring, like just become aware of being aware, become conscious of being conscious. Like those are those moments that I would change, because when that happens, that is like the very first level of enlightenment. And it's you're in light and you're meant to be there. Yeah. So whenever you're in a dark place, when you become in light, there's a moment of like, I'm meant to do this, or I'm meant to be here. And so when it happens, your level of awareness heightens and you become aware of things that were just so insignificant to you. Now they become significant. And now you're like, wow, I can see the beauty in that flower. I can see the beauty in that child. I can see the beauty in that adult. I can see the beauty in their story and their authenticity. All they're helping me, develop, evolve, change myself. And that is what I would, if I had the superpowers, which I do.
Yeah. You have the superpowers for sure.
Right. But it's to get people to become aware of being aware and conscious of being conscious.
Break every chain. And that's what will happen when that happens. We will break every chain. And then when you are aware of being aware and conscious of being conscious, we break these taboos. We break these things. A lot of things we don't do just because we were told not to do it. And when we're told not to do it, it's embedded in us, and we're living a life that has nothing to do with how we're supposed to live it, but how somebody else said to live it, and we don't do it. And we find out when you become aware, and conscious of conscious, and you stumble onto this situation, you're like, oh, what? This is what this is. I have freedom. And I don't have to continue to point like this. I have freedom that I continue. And once you learn you have that, you don't have time for nothing else, because all your time have to be put into this process. When I started to discover that, when I started to relearn, rebirth, I learned this is a whole new process. I ain't got time for that. All your energy is here. So thank you so much. Is there any final words you want to leave? I was going to ask you something else, but you answered it. I was like, what is the message you want to leave for the people listening? But that message you gave before I asked a question about the superhero. You gave that whole message. Is there anything else you want to leave before we sign off?
Yeah, the one thing that I want to leave is you hear the saying, love yourself. And that's what I would say. I tell everybody to love themselves, but you hear that all the time. But I'm going to tell you why and how you can love yourself. How first you can love yourself is, think about somebody that you truly love right now. They can be your mom, your dad, your siblings, your significant other. Think about somebody that you love, and you'll do anything for them. You'll do anything for them. Now, when you become aware of, that love that you have for that person, you have to become completely mindful of that love that you have for that person. And when you do, now you have to ask yourself, do I have that same love for myself? Because it's an effect. You affect somebody with your ability to love them, to express love. And so when you can use that same type of love and put it towards yourself, oh my goodness, you fall in love with yourself. And this is the reason why it's important for you to love yourself, because when you start loving yourself, then it's easy for you to love other people. When you have money and somebody wants to borrow money from you, it's easy for you to give money to them. But when you don't have any money and somebody want to borrow money from you, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to get angry. You're going to get mad that they even asked you. Right? So you have to develop the love within yourself before you can give it to somebody else. This will cut down on all the divorce rates in America, because a lot of people, they jump into a relationship without having the most important relationship, and that's with yourself. And so since you don't know yourself and you get into a relationship with somebody, you lose yourself, and everybody lose themselves. But then they point the finger, it was because of you that I did this. Actually, it was you. It was you. But we don't want to look at ourselves and say that we're to blame, because we've been, exempt from a lot of things, and you can do the victim. But it's the one that actually understands that they're the victim, and they become aware of that, and they say, you know what, I'm going to change, and I'm going to change for the better. And that's a part of loving yourself. Educating yourself is a part of loving yourself. Not pampering, not going getting a manicure or pedicure or massages. That's a small part of it, but really sitting down and working on your psychology, working on your thought process. Even if you do feel good, go and still go do some maintenance. Every car, you can't ride a car all day long or all year long and not go get any type of maintenance, right? Like, everything needs maintenance, because everything has to have some life of preservation. It has to be preserved. And so in order to do that, you have to do those small things. And those small things is loving yourself, talking to yourself, telling yourself how amazing you are. Because if you don't do it, somebody else gonna tell you how amazing that you are not. So you have to do these little small things each and every day. When you start doing those things, your perspective about everything in life and about how the universe works and how God works and how the higher power works, it's all for you. Right? And this is love. Love yourself. Because when you do, you start to be in joy. Oh, that's a tough one right there. In joy. See, you were in joy. At first, you're just trying to discover joy, but now, once you start loving yourself, you become in joy. The word is enjoy, and so that enjoy is inside of you. Look, my last thing, you had mentioned in control and out of control. I always tell people this. In control. This is how you can really understand in control. Whatever is inside of you is in control, because you have control of what's inside of you and how you react to things. But something that's outside of you, it is out of your control. So don't try to control it. Control what you can control that's inside of here, because it's in control. You are in control of that. And everything outside of you is out of your control. So don't try to control that. And don't lose yourself over all of these small things, right? And this is where emotional regulation comes from, and so forth. But that's another story. But I just want to share that with everybody. Look, love yourself and learn how to be in control of what's inside of you and not what's outside of you, because whatever's outside of you is out of your control. So those are my last words. Thank you so much for this. Elakisha, you are a goddess. You are amazing, and I love you and I support you in everything that you do. So please keep it going. Don't stop.
I love it. I love it. Let me put this on off me and to you. And I support you too. So, everyone, listen, Mr. Prince needs
Yes.
to be in your catalog. Whatever you're doing, we need to be healthy more so now than ever, because this pandemic has forced us to see ourselves. And that's where a lot of us are angry. And we want to get back out. We were forced to silence, forced to see ourselves, but also I am going to recognize, I'm not going to dismiss. We were also forced to be in environments that we were trying to run away from,
Mm.
where things are possibly happening. we're forced or we were ripped away from certain institutions or things that were helping us to overcome addictions and forced to figure it out on our own. Whatever the situation is, you need to have people in your corner. You need to have people to learn from, dialogue that is in the knowing. So please follow Mr. Prince. Please get the book and put in your favorites his website. Thank you for listening to another segment of Conversate and Elevate. I want you to elevate before you get to me. Conversate and Elevate. Thank you, and God bless.